Okay. So the first step today is we are going to start our SQL basics.
Mm-hmm.
Then we are going to jump onto the data warehousing. Okay. So
Okay.
let's look into the SQL statements, like what exactly the SQL and
Mm-hmm.
why we need that language. So the basic abbreviation of the SQL is like structured query language. So for anything, like for everything, like whatever concept or whatever the data, whatever the things. So if you want to look into that, you need some kind of a language to read that. So if you want to read any code, you need something like any kind of an editor. The same way, if you want to read the data from a given database, or if you want to read a data from given table, then you need a specific kind of a language. That language is called SQL, Structured Query Language. So why we'll use a structured query language? To read the data from a given table. So what is a table and what is this database and why we are using these databases? So the basic thing is, if you want to store the data, we need a place. So that place, I'm calling it as a data and base. So on the database, we are going to store the data. How the database looks like a database looks like a collection of different tables. So the data, whatever the data you want to insert in a database, the data is going to be inserted in a table. From that table, you're supposed to read the data. How? By using a SQL. So basically, SQL is not only for Oracle. SQL is a standardized language for every database. So DB2 having its own structured query language. Oracle is having its own SQL. Sybase is having its own SQL. So SQL is same, but sometimes the syntaxes might be different or the functions might be different. But ultimately, this is a standard. Okay, so SQL is a standard for any kind of a database to read the content from those tables. Okay, if you look at this, as I mentioned earlier, the basic intention of the SQL is to select the data or to grab the data from a given table. So how you are going to select the data? The basic SQL statement. So the word, whatever I'm using, select. So the same thing you have to use, select. Okay. If you use that command, select, you are able to get the data. So here you need to understand one thing. When I'm looking at a table, that table means this is what a table. So what is a table? You need to understand the basic concept here. What is a table? It's a matrix or it's a collection of rows and columns. So if you look at this tabular format, like, so the whole thing is called row. Okay. Employee number, employee name, job, manager, hire date, sal, column, department number. This whole thing is called as a row. And again, this is called as a row. This is called as a row. But there is a difference among these rows. The first row, I'm calling it as a header, or I can call it as a row which consists of a column names. Okay. So what is this column means? The vertically, if you look at this table, okay, it's a collection of a vertical as well as a horizontal cells. But like if I'm looking at the horizontal perspective, then I'm calling it as a row. If I'm looking at the horizontal perspective, I'm calling it as a row. But if I'm looking at the vertical perspective, vertical means this one, the only employee number column. This is the column. The whole thing is a column. What is the column name? Employee number is a column name. What is the column name here? E-name is a column name. Job is a column name. MZR is a column name. In database terminology, we will call this as a metadata. Okay. So what is a metadata? A data about data. What does that means? If employee number is talking about the employee numbers of this specific table or employee numbers of the specific company. Okay. So that's the reason I'm calling it as a metadata. So here, employee number, employee name, job, manager, hire date, all these things are called metadata. And this 7369 Smith clerk are called a regular data. So what we need to remember here is data always stored in a tabular format on a relational databases. Whatever I call till now database, the next level to the database is a relational database. So I'll come to that point later, but for now, try to understand in the database, the data is stored in the form of a tables. So even we have some other forms, but we'll discuss them later. But for now, try to understand what is a table, what is a database, and how the data is stored in those tables. Okay. So First thing is very high level database, second level table, third level row, and in the same level column. But within the rows and columns, you are going to have two different kind of data. One is metadata and one is a regular data. So what I'm trying to do is I want to select the data from this table. How you are going to select the data? You're supposed to write a query, okay, to select the data from this table. So what exactly you want from this table? I want employee number from this table. So what I'm going to write then? Select. What is the column name? Employee number. From which table? This table name is employee. This table name is employee. So if I write select employee number from employee, then what I'm going to get? I'm going to get this column, employee number column, the whole thing. So sorry, I cannot select it, but this whole thing, employee number 7369, 7499, whatever is there under employee number. But I don't get a name. I don't get a job because I'm selecting only employee number. But if I want like employee name, what I have to do? Select employee name from which table? Employee table. EMP is a table name.
Okay.
Select is a keyword. From is a keyword. So then what does the star means? Instead of putting select employee number, employee name, if I put star, that means I need everything, whatever is there here. Okay. That is the concept of a basic statement select. If you want to read any data, okay, select is a basic command, okay, or keyword you're supposed to use. So if you want like individual columns, I can select like this: select department number, department name, location, from. So from is a keyword, select is a keyword. The rest of things are depends on your table and columns. If I use star instead of these three, I'll get everything from the table. But the table name is a mandatory thing, and column names or a star is a mandatory thing. Okay, just make sure of this. What if I want to use a condition? Okay, like I want only department number is equal to 10, but I want all the records. Then how you are going to write? Select star from department. I need to use another condition called where. So another keyword called where. So if I use that keyword where, then I'm going to get only the specific department number details. Okay, that specific department number details. So I don't want to go in depth. Maybe the first thing what you're supposed to do for today is, okay, any questions, Jaya? Or like looks very simple for you for now?
Yeah, it looks simple. I have an idea on SQL, so I think that's
okay. Cool then. So, but still, I insist you to practice this. Okay.
yeah.
Right, like 50 statements or like 100 statements. That's okay. It's a very simple. Just to write different kind of scenarios basically, so that you will get the confidence levels.
Yeah.
Just a sec.
Hello.
I'm just trying to see.
Okay. Okay. This metadata, you just spoke about this metadata, right? So can you explain it again?
Okay. So let's take an example. Your name is showing as like a Zaya XYZ. Okay, XYZ is your surname, for example. So what is the meaning of a surname? Basically, when we say our surname, people like whoever belongs to that surname, we will get an idea. Basically, when you go to a new place, if someone tell us the same surname, then somewhere it will strike to us. Okay, somehow this guy is related to our family, maybe or may not be. Okay, maybe in different generations, but still that last name ties somewhere. Okay, maybe caste wise, or maybe religion wise, or maybe family wise, somewhere, right? What is that? It's kind of a reference for some other information. So what is that reference now? That last name referred to that person, so that we can think as he belongs to some of our relations or some other places or something. So in the same way, if I say like a zip code, okay, so if I say like 75081, so when I say a 75081, basically this zip code belongs to a city. But instead of using that city name, why I'm calling it as a zip code? Because this zip code is aligned or linked with another data. When someone says 75081, immediately they'll get a strike of that city. Are you able to get my point?
Yeah.
So when you are trying to use something to refer something else, when I'm using my last name so that some other person is able to link up that last name to some other thing, and the same way, if I'm using my zip code and the other person is able to link up with some other thing, the same way, if I use a e-name or like employee name in this my example, I am able to link that employee name into the Smith, Allen, Ward, Jones, Martin, Blake, everyone, whatever is whoever in that table.
Okay.
But for my table, if I want to give that information, okay, if I want to fetch that information, I need to give an instruction, right? In that instruction, I cannot use this Smith, Allen word. How I need to pronounce them? How I need to link the table? I am linking those names with the e-name. So e-name is a column name, but still I am calling it as a metadata because I need to use the data to get the information of those employees.
Okay.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
The same way, salary also. There can be like a millions of salary records in my table. But if I want to specifically mention, I want to fetch so and so salary, then I need a metadata. The same way, when you're installing a game, maybe you experienced when you in school, like normally when we are installing a games or when we are installing operating systems or something, when you're installing on a machine, the background, it will execute different kind of a files. Have you ever observed that?
Sorry, something got breaked in the middle, so it started from somewhere.
So what I'm saying is, when you're installing something on your machine or like on your computer,
okay,
or when you're installing an app, okay, on your iPad, so there is a bar. It will show like maybe in the iPad it will show with a green color. Okay, something is happening. Or Android. What exactly happening? Basically, it's trying to get all the files, all the metadata related to that application. So that whatever the instruction you are giving, it will refer to the metadata and it will convert that instruction, whatever you are giving the instruction, it will convert its own format and it will produce the results. But in the background, who is doing that? It's a process or it's the engine, whatever that app is built on, but that engine is using the metadata. So without metadata, I mean, we cannot work in the data world. Not only the data world, any IT related thing. So that's why it's a common kind of a question, or like what is the metadata? The simplest answer is it's data about the data. In my example, employee name is about this Smith, Allen, the employee names who are working in the company. Salary is referring to the salaries of the employees. That's why I'm calling salary as a metadata. Okay, maybe last name is a metadata for all of us. Like, a zip code is a metadata for the cities. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have Oracle in your mission?
Sorry?
Do you have Oracle in your mission?
I didn't get you.
The database Oracle in your mission? I mean, in your system?
Yeah.
Okay. Even you don't have Oracle also, you can do one thing. So, w3schools.com. So, practice your thing.
Okay.
So, go to tutorials and so this is the best website I can say. So
it's to practice.
You can write your own query and just try yourself. Okay, run the SIG. It will give the results. If you want to change it, where?
Okay, it has information already, right?
Exactly. All the tables and everything is there. Just you need to practice. That's it. So now I'm trying to fetch the data for customer ID is equal 2 or 1. Okay, just run the SIG. Okay, now I got only for 1 instead of 1.
Okay.
Okay, so try like 50 to 100 statements. That's okay. Until you, I mean, don't run the same thing again and again, but try the different scenarios. Now customer ID is equal to 1. Just you can put like a customer name is equal to only half of it. Or how can I find out like the customers with the Alfreds, okay, or like the last name I say, whatever it is, okay. So with this last name, so how many customers are there? Or with the contact name as Anders as a last name, how many customers are there? In the Berlin, how many people are there? Like that, you can write like a different kind of things.
Okay.
Okay, think your own way and try to do it. If you get any questions, like maybe tomorrow, I can discuss with you again. Okay, but try to document whatever the SQL you are writing. Just try to put it in a document so that you can refer it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I'm going to my data warehousing concepts. We already spent enough time. Okay, so any questions, Jaya, before going to this?
No, I think I'm good now.
Okay. So basically what we are going to learn. So we are going to learn about the data warehousing basic design approaches. So how exactly the data warehousing is working and what is the architecture kind of stuff. So we are going to see. So how many different kind of the data warehouse systems are there, and data warehousing operational process. So basically how exactly the data warehousing system is working inside. So how exactly is operable in a real world. So what are the technical issues in data warehousing, and how you are going to provide a solution for them. Okay, and what are the decision supporting systems, tools. So how you are going to align those tools along with your data warehousing. So basically what exactly the outcome of data warehousing, say decision support system. So the ultimate outcome is a report which is in support of decision making analysis, but how the tools are integrated with your data warehousing system. And the business intelligence. Basically, business intelligence means whatever the data warehousing or like whatever the report, okay, whatever the things are delivering from this data warehousing are supporting your business. Okay, so in what way it's supporting to make a intelligent decisions. So basically, the business, if a business wants to improve, it has to take a successful or like a innovative actions based on the current existing data in their organizations. To understand that data in a productive way, they need to have a specific intelligence. That intelligence is called data warehousing. So how you are converting your data warehousing tools, okay, to support your business, you are going to learn. So yesterday also we discussed what is the data warehouse. So to put in a simple way, a data warehouse is a repository for the decision making and analysis purpose. But anyway, we'll read definitions. So formally designed on this PowerPoint presentation. So we'll go through this, but still we'll put our own statements, our own understandings. Okay, so that will be easy for us to explain to the interviewer. Okay. So a data warehouse is a relational database that is designed for query and analysis rather than for transaction processing. It usually contains historical data derived from a transaction data. Here you need to understand two terms. What is the transactional processing? What is the transactional data? And what is that historical data? So what exactly the statement meaning is? The data warehouse is a relational database. Till now, whatever we discussed, tables, okay, all these things are like a relational databases. So a data warehouse is a relational database that is designed for query and analysis. So why the data warehousing is built? Because the people want to perform query and analysis. Query and analysis means they want to dig into the data and they want to get the proper results. For that purpose only, they created a data warehouse. So what is the data warehouse? Again, it's kind of a database. So because even though if you want to do query or analysis, you have to go to some place where the data is there, right? Wherever data is there, that is a database. So obviously, a data warehouse is a database. But what's the difference between database and a data warehouse? A database is only stores the data, but a data warehouse is specifically designed for analysis. Okay, that is what the basic difference. So rather than the transactional processing, what is the transaction processing? If you go to Walmart, if you buy something, that is called a transaction, right?
Yeah.
If you go to a bank, so what they will say, so what are the transactions today? That is what the term they will use. Okay, what is your transaction? That is what the term they used. Even if you go for a deposit, I mean, if you go for it like a depositing amount, still they will call it as a transaction. But where the transactional data is stored, the transactional data is stored in a database. That is not for the purpose of data warehousing. That is only for the purpose of transactional processing. What is the difference? Data warehousing means you are going to maintain historical data as well as a current data. But in the transactional processing, they will maintain only current data. For example, if you go into Walmart, okay, you bought a TV. So that is a transaction. Tomorrow, if I go there, they won't find your record because your current data is only stored in a transactional processing system. I'm just giving an example. Don't take it real time. So maybe the transaction systems will store like up to, depends on the business. Some people will store for 3 months. Some people will store for 6. Some people may store for like 5 years. So it depends on the business. But ultimately, there is a certain limit. But on the data warehouse, there is no limit. If you perform a transaction or if you perform something, a record is entered into data warehouse, it has to stay until that business lifetime. But in the transaction processing system, if I bought a TV, after 1 year, if I go and ask them, they will say, simply call customer care. Why? Because in their systems, it won't be available. So we might think like why they are not looking into their system. But the fact is, their systems capable of storing only limited data.
Okay.
If it crosses certain time, we have to go to a customer care or like some other place. So that is what the basic difference. What you need to understand from the first line, a transactional processing systems and data warehousing system. The difference is transactional processing system are containing only the latest data or latest transactions. Data warehousing consists of historical data as well as the latest data, okay, or current data. Next, a data warehouse environment includes an extraction, transportation. Instead of transportation, you can call it as a transformation. Okay, sorry, transportation or transformation, and loading solution. So these two terms are same. Extraction, transportation, both are same. Okay, the next thing is a transformation and loading. Okay. So in the normal terms, we'll call it as an ETL. So the basic definition is extraction, transformation, loading. So a data warehouse environment includes ETL solution, online analytical processing, OLAP, and data mining capabilities, client analysis tools, and other applications that manage the process of gathering the data and delivering it to the business users. So overall, what he's trying to say is, so if I look at the data warehouse as a box, okay, it is a big box. When I open the data warehouse box, what kind of things I can look into that? I can see a ETL as a small box, and I can see like a OLAP, online analytical processing. I'll come to that later. Okay, ETL as a box, I can see another box, OLAP as another box, some data mining boxes, and some client analysis tools, and some kind of a thing which will be used for the business to generate the reports. Okay. What all are these things? So we will see in the next slides. But for now, just try to understand. You are having a ETL, OLAP, data mining capabilities, client analysis tools, and so some kind of a tools which are used to deliver the reports to the business users. Okay. Anyway, like we supposed to go through everything, so don't get panic. Okay. Okay. So, and what else is it about data warehouse? It's a series of processes, and tools that help the enterprise to understand more about itself, its products, its customers, and the market service. Basically, what is the purpose of this data warehouse? For the decision-making analysis, we are using data warehouse. But what is the decision-making analysis? Why we need the decision-making analysis stuff? Basically, to help the decision-making and analysis will help the enterprise to understand more about their business and more about their products, where exactly they are making profit, where exactly they are losing the money, what is the customer's potential, okay, how they can improve their business by what they can offer. So it's customers and the market services. So basically, market IT services. So what does that mean? So basically, for example, let's take an example of a insurance company. Okay. This year in Texas, like there are like a lot of tornadoes. So not the tornadoes, but like the hails. Yeah. So because of the hails, so there is like a huge loss. But like how they're going to cover that loss in next 1 year? So again, they have to analyze their market. Okay. So how the market is there, how much level they can increase the insurance prices, and what is their customer strength, how many people suffered. So all these things, they need the data. How they're going to get it? They need to have their own data warehousing systems. Okay, so that they can pull the data and they can quickly take the decisions. And even they need to understand the weather circumstances, how the weather is going to behave for the next 1 year or like 2 years. Even still, is they need some kind of a data mining capabilities. Okay, so based on like past 10 years data, they need to do data mining. How the weather is going to react. Okay, of course, it's just a prediction, but still there should be a kind of a genuine prediction. Okay, this is how the data warehouse is going to help the business, and these are the things are available in a data warehouse. So what you understand, like finally, a data warehouse is not at all is a technology. Okay, data warehouse consists of a different kind of, that's why I said it's a box.
Okay.
Box, you're having a different kind of a things.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? It's not a technology. You have to bring up so many things into that box. Okay, so that you can give that box, and one end you can put like the data, other end you can put as a report, so that the business can put the data into that, and the data warehousing system will deliver the reports on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why, we already discussed why data warehousing, why the data warehousing required for the business. Basically, they need like intelligent information in the competitive market, as I mentioned just now, to understand the customer strengths, to understand the market trends. So to understand the other competitors, how they're doing the business, and what are the loopholes, and how can they capture the market. All these things are coming from their own data, but they need to know how to dig the data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for that purpose, they're using the data warehouse. So, and that is one of the scenario. So the other scenario is like a region-wise preferences. If I'm saying like a Walmart, so maybe in Hyderabad, okay, let's take an India example. I'm from Hyderabad, so I can take a better geographical-wise examples. So what kind of a store will work in Jubilee Hills or like in a high-profile areas or like in a high-tech city? So if I establish some kind of a business on a low-profile area, then that doesn't make any sense for the business. So they have to know what is the geographical areas and what is the customer strength in that specific area. For all of these things, they need to understand the data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, the same thing, the sales. What are the projected sales? How much sales they are expecting to make profits? Okay. So what if you sell more quantity of a particular product? So all these things, different kind of scenarios will be answered by the data warehousing. So there are like so many things, like millions of questions is going to answer. It's not only one. Ultimately, you have to understand this is built for the business purpose, or this is built to benefit the business. Okay, now this is a bookish definition of data warehousing. Yesterday we discussed this. So who is Inmon? So he's a guy. He's one of the guy who invented. I cannot say invented, but like he who proposed this thought of data warehouse, and then so many tools built based on this proposal. So a data warehouse is a subject-oriented, integrated, non-volatile, and time-variant collection of data in support of management decisions. So what is that? Yesterday also we discussed. So we'll go one by one, but like you need to remember these words like subject-oriented, integrated, non-volatile, and time-variant collection of data in support of management decisions. So the last statement is very important. Support of management's decision. Whatever you are building in support of management decision, that is very important. The rest of everything, if you don't mention this last lane, that will become a database. If you mention this last lane, that will become a data warehouse. Okay.
Okay.
What is the subject oriented? Any questions till this point?
No, I think.
Okay. So what is a subject oriented? This is the first word and like the first keyword we used. We said like subject oriented, time variant, non-volatile, integrated. So what is a subject oriented? The data in data warehouse is organized around the major subject of the enterprise, that is the high level entities. What does it mean? If you look at it like any financial organizations like State Farm. So State Farm is having different kind of a line of businesses. Like basically the State Farm businesses, they are in the insurance, right? So when they're in insurance, but still they support like a fire, life, and auto. So they're supporting like different kind of insurances. Even though their business is insurance, but still within the insurance, they're supporting a different level of areas. So that is called a major subject areas or subject areas of the specific organization. So fire is a subject area. Okay, auto is a subject area. Life is a subject area within the insurance. If you look at JP Morgan, a banking is in a subject area. Insurance is a subject area. Loans are a subject area. So very high level, if you want to classify, that is called a subject area. If we look at our home, bedroom, hall, kitchen, dining area, everything is subject area. So if you want to divide that, okay, in the same way, the business also, if you want to divide this business in a different kind of areas so that you can focus much or deep into that specific area. That's why they are calling it as a subject area.
Okay.
So the orientation around the major subject areas causes the data and data warehousing to design to be data driven. Basically, why we are calling it as a subject areas, so that we can design our data warehouse as a data driven. What is a data driven? Basically, it's supposed to be data specific. Like if I'm talking about the auto insurance, my data warehouse is only supporting the auto insurance. If I'm saying like loans, my data warehouse is supporting only loans, so that my data warehouse is specifically focusing on one area. The operational systems are designed around the application and functions. Examples, loans, and that is what just now we talked about, right? So like loans, savings, credit cards in case of a bank, where the data warehouse is designed around like subject, like a customer, product, vendor. So if you take like a different kind of a businesses, you may find like different kind of a subject areas. So ultimately, whatever the major areas within that business, you are going to take them as a subject areas. Okay.
Okay.
The next thing is time variant. Data is stored as a series of snapshots or views which record how it is collected across the time. So what does that mean? Basically, for example, today, okay, we took an example of a transactional system. You remember, like I mentioned, like when you go to a Walmart, if you buy a TV, then it is a transaction. So for that day, it's a transaction, but after 1 year, that will become a kind of a legacy record on your data warehouse system. So assume like in 1992, on January 1st, I bought that item. Okay, maybe on 1992, that can be a transaction data. But in 2018, that is going to be data warehouse data. Okay, but like how are we going to identify that information based on a time? So your data must be linked with the time. Some kind of an ID you are going to provide. Okay, so here when I'm saying 1992 January 1st means some kind of an ID or some kind of a metadata I'm linking with my data. So whenever I mention that time is equal to January 1st, 1992, I'm supposed to get this information, the TV or the television information and or like the customer information who bought the TV. So each and every record is tied up with the time. So if I want to retrieve like all the customers information from last 10 years, I'm supposed to get it. Last 10 days, I'm supposed to get it. Last 10 minutes also, I'm supposed to get it. That is how the data warehouse should build. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Means time means I didn't get that. Means.
See, don't think. I mean, he just shown like a pictorial way, but okay. To put in a proper. Let me do this. Where is the document? This one, right? So now, how the data is going to store is instead of employee name. Okay, let's take this example. Okay, salary plus 300, right? Okay. Here, this is linked with a hire date. Even in my data warehouse also, it is going to be linked like this. If I mention like hire date is called 17/12/1980, I'm going to get like Smith and his salary was like 800 at the time. this is how I need to link the data. Okay, not only one table, like, so I supposed to build a whole system based on the date. I can get all the information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever the data you're loading, you should make sure you're loading the data by assigning with some kind of a time.
Okay.
Okay, if in future, if I want to retrieve the data, I should be capable of retrieving the data based on the time. Next, integrated. So data is stored once in a single integrated location. So if you look at this example, so subject, who is the subject here? I'm trying to store the customer information. Okay? So that is what my data warehousing database is storing. But this customer information is stored in a different places, like auto policy processing system is a different kind of a database. Fire policy processing system is a different kind of a database. Fax, life, commercial accounting applications are different kind of a databases. So for only one customer, for example, if you are living in a town, you might have from the same state farm, you might have an insurance with the state farm on auto for your car, for your home, okay, or like for your commercial thing. So, or like you might have some kind of a banking accountings, everything with the bank or sorry, state farm. So customer is same, but his information can be in a different places.
Okay.
Right? So all the auto related information will be stored in a separate data warehouse or separate data mart, I can say, or separate database. Or all fire policy, because when you call the customer care, so when you talking about the auto, then only they will respond, or else they will say, I'll route this call to the fire department so that they can provide the information. Why? So each person having their own information for the same customer. But still, data warehousing perspective, they're supposed to retrieve that information for a given customer. It's not like I have to go to the auto, I have to go to fire, I have to go to accounting. No. For a customer, it makes sense. But for the business, it doesn't make any sense if you want to go through different kind of databases. If they want to get a report, they have to get a report from all these databases.
Okay.
So whatever, how many subject areas you're having doesn't matter in your company. For a data warehouse, it should be integrated. Then only you can get a kind of an information from one single repository. Even though your data is scattered across different kind of databases, but when you're trying to get a report, it should come by assuming like the data is coming from a single database.
Okay, if I search, means if I want a customer detail, so I get the entire details of the customer, means in which section he's having all those means.
Exactly. If I say, can I get this customer's information? Then my report should provide his information from the auto, his information from the file, his information from the accounting.
Yeah.
All these three. Make sense?
Yeah.
Non-volatile. Whatever the data you're putting in data warehouse, it should not get deleted, or it should not get overwritten, or it should not be updated. Then you may ask, like, if an employee moving from one location to another location, like Georgia to Dallas, okay, or Dallas to California, but like the employee is moving, right? So you have to update his record.
Yeah.
So you have to update his record, but you're supposed to put in a proper way, like on so and so date, on January 2016, he moved from California to Dallas. On 2017, he moved from Dallas to Georgia. On 2018, he moved from Georgia to Columbus. Like this, you have to maintain the data, but you are not supposed to overwrite the data. If an employee moves like 3 locations, how many records should be there? 3 records should be there. You cannot overwrite or you cannot delete. Even the employee, okay, resigned the company, but still you cannot delete that record. Of course, if your business insists, yes, you can. But like the normal process, you should maintain every single record unless your business insists. Okay, so this is logic. I mean, this is the logic because the purpose of data warehouse is to enable you to analyze what has occurred. So that makes sense, right? So if you keep on deleting the data, then what is the purpose of data warehouse? So you should have each and every single record so that you can analyze what exactly happened. So that is how it works. So whatever the updates, inserts, or whatever is happening, you are going to perform that on a transaction side. Once the transaction side is done, every day the data is going to load into the data warehouse. Once the data is stored, that's it. But if you want to do any updates or any inserts, where it's happening on the transactional databases, it's happening. Okay. So that ultimately the data warehouse systems are only read only. They're not for write.
Okay, so in data warehouse, I can insert or update, or I can do anything. I can't do anything in warehouse, right? Data warehouse. I can just do only in the transaction, right?
Yes.
Okay, you just now you said that means it can't overwrite.
Yes.
So if I have means more information about a customer, so then means then.
So for example, today customer name. Okay, today the customer name is like Mary Williams. Maybe after her marriage, her name got changed. Okay, so Mary Thompson. So what happens? You supposed to mention on so and so date. So Mary Williams is a record. Okay, one record in the customer information. Her record will get updated. Maybe in 2016 her name was Mary Williams, but in 2017 you are not updating the Mary Williams record. You are creating as a new record.
Okay.
Maybe with the same number or with the customer ID won't get changed, but you are going to insert as a new record. But it leads to another question: how you are going to maintain a primary key? So again, that's a different question. But maybe for now, try to understand in the data warehouse, whatever is happening, you are just trying to insert the data. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, that is what the main intention. And don't think like a data warehouse is just a single table and whatever the information is coming, you are putting. No. Data warehouse means there are so many tables. It's a collection of like a different kind of a tables, schemas. So it's kind of a big thing. Okay. So ultimately, the final thing in the data warehousing, whatever is coming, right, that is not going to be deleted.
Yeah.
Okay. In the environment, you may have different kind of systems, but in the final level, you cannot delete the data. That is what the. So we already discussed this. What are the difference between OLTP and data warehouse, online transaction processing system, the television example, whatever I gave. So OLTP systems are tuned for known transactions and workloads, while workload is not known in the data warehouse. So basically, on OLTP transactions or like OLTP systems are built only for the specific transactions. For example, if you are going to Walmart, that Walmart the databases or the systems are only built for that groceries or like that electronics, what are the products they are selling online, sorry, not online, on the store. But data warehousing, it's supposed to include stores, supposed to include like online, supposed to include like kiosks, everything. But OLTP systems are tuned only for those specific transactions and only for the specific timelines. Special data organization access methods and implementation methods are needed to support the data warehousing queries, typically multi-dimensional queries. So basically, online transaction processing system won't support. I mean, they are not built to support these queries. Okay, I mean for the analysis purpose, but the data warehousing systems are specifically built for queries, means analysis purpose. So what kind of analysis things are happening in data warehouse? So basically a multi-dimensional queries, just like select a star from a employee table. It's not a multi-dimensional thing. But look at this query. I want to know the total sales happened on Chicago location. Okay. I want to know the total sales happened on Chicago Walmart in January 2016.
Okay.
On electronic side. There are so many things coming, right? In Chicago location, Walmart means that it is spread across the US, like across the world, but I want only Chicago downtown. From the Chicago downtown Walmart, I want to know the total sales. I don't care about other things. Total sales, okay, of electronic items in January 2016. It's not like just writing a select star. You have to use like multi-dimensional queries. Okay. So maybe what's the example he gave over here is average amount spent on phone calls between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Pune during the month of December. Same thing. So to put it in a simple way, the total sales happened in Walmart, Chicago, or whatever. Okay. So it's a multi-dimension. It's not like a one dimension. Here I'm talking about the time. I'm talking about the location. I'm talking about the specific incident or scenario, like a phone calls. And I'm talking about a kind of a amount or a kind of a transactional value, that is amount spent. In my Chicago example, total sales. Okay. So, but in the OLTP systems it's not like a multi-dimension. They're just like a select star from sales. That's it. You will get all the sales information, but that information won't provide you on a specific transaction. Okay.
Means you get only limited information, or
exactly one dimension, only sales on that specific Walmart store. That's it.
Okay.
If I want on like a yeah, sorry.
Okay. I'm confused of this OLTP means.
Okay. Okay. Think that you're a manager in Walmart. Okay.
Okay.
You're like a CEO, not even manager. You're CEO, and you want a report. Like you want to see like what was my total revenue. Okay, but when you look at the revenue, you didn't able to understand like why the revenue is not increased. Okay. Suddenly a guy told you the Chicago location, like they're having a lot of issues and there is a lot of things happened in January 2016. That's the reason of the whole thing. When I go to a specific OLTP system, okay, when I go to a OLTP system of the Chicago Walmart, being a CEO, I went to Walmart, Chicago. I asked a guy what happened in 2016. When he tried to enter the data, he won't find anything in 2016. OLTP can only support 2018. It won't support 2016. And that too, he cannot provide a direct information, whatever is happened exactly on that day, whatever the problem. Basically, the problem happened on electronics. If you want, he will provide all the information, whatever is happened in 2018 on specific day. Okay, the total information, total sale, but he cannot classify. This is what electronics, this is what cosmetics, this is what like costumes.
Okay.
He cannot classify. All this classification, all this granularity happens only in data warehouse.
Okay, OLTP is a database. Means,
yes, OLTP is, see, both are databases.
Yeah, means OLTP is just you can store for a specific time, right?
See, okay, to put in another way, these two things are OLTP and data warehouse are both are just like a same. Okay, just like a two jars. Okay, just like a two jars. One jar is a pretty small. I can put only limited marbles. The other jar is like is a huge jar. I can put like as many marbles I want, and I do have a different kind of a entry systems into this jar. But my OLTP is having only one entry system into that jar. Just on top, just I'm having one lid. That's it. But in my big jar, the data warehouse side, it's having different kind of a systems, different kind of a varieties within that jar, different kind of a filters within that jar. Whatever the filter if I open, or like whatever the nozzle if I open, that kind of a marble will come out. But in this jar, in this small jar, it won't happen.
Okay.
Jar means database. Database is same, but the type of information, the way you organize the information within those jars or database is different. That's okay. Jay, if you have a question,
I got it, but the OLTP, I was just confused of that OLTP. Just means I was thinking it's a database. So comparing with database, so suddenly I thought, what is OLTP? I got it.
Oh, okay. Maybe the name.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was varying between database versus data warehouse. So
see, here we will talk so many things. Okay, in the IT world, we'll talk so many things. But if I can say data warehouse, or if I say OLTP, or if I say maybe a ERP system, or if I say Java application, whatever you say, the background, the backbone is a database.
Yeah.
Anything doesn't matter. It's a data warehouse or anything. The backbone is a database. If you are storing the data somewhere, means that's a database.
Okay.
Okay, don't get confused with the terms.
Okay.
So the type of the data or the format of the data might be different, but ultimately you are putting the data in a database.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the basic differences between OLTP and data warehouse. So don't get confused, DSS. So this is the other name for the data warehouse, decision support systems. Okay.
Okay.
OLTP is only application oriented. If I am storing in like a customer information, only customer information will be there. If I am storing in a payroll, only payroll information will be there. But the coming to data warehousing, it's a subject oriented. If I'm storing like a sales information, so the entire data warehouse, whatever is I'm calling, it's only talking about the sales of entire organization. Okay, like a loans or auto. So these are the subject areas. So I can classify it as a subject oriented. Used to run the business. Basically, what do you mean by run the business? If you go to Walmart, if system is not working, what you will do? Basically, your business collapse. That is meant only for that is only to run the business. That's it, but not for the analyze the business. No one go to bank systems and they will try to query the data. No, because the people who are sitting in the front desks, they are using to enter your information, but those things are not used by your managers. Detailed data and summarized and refined. Detailed means what? If I ask about a transaction, it will provide me all the details about the transaction and what is the cost of the television, at what time you purchased, and what is the credit card you used, and what is the discount they provided, and what is the tax, what is the total amount, what is the date. This is a detailed information. But the data warehouse purpose, I don't need that detailed information. I just need like summarized what exactly happened, how much amount you put in to get that item into store, and how much profit I got it from it. That's it. I don't need like what is the tax, what is this customer name, okay, or like at what time he purchased. Again, it's a kind of a contradiction statement, right? Whatever I'm saying, the time, the customer name, everything will be stored even in the data warehouse, but in a different tables. If I want, I can get it. But if I don't want, I don't get it. But in the OLTP, it's not like that. Whether you want it or not, you will get everything. But in the data warehousing system, you will separate everything. For customer related information, you will put everything in a customer. For time related information, you will put in a separate time dimensions. So we will talk about that. Okay, how you're going to classify the data. But for now, try to understand. The OLTP, you will get like complete full information about a transaction for a limited time. But in the data warehouse, you will only get the summarized information. Okay, why? What is the difference? Because data warehouse systems not meant to look into the data, what exactly happened on that day. No, these systems are meant to take a decisions or to perform analysis. You may ask like, what kind of analysis I will do if I don't have like complete information? What is the requirement me to know about the taxes in my data? Is going to confuse me, right? I want to know the total sales. Okay, I don't want like each and individual detail or like the detailed information about the transaction. Whatever the details I want for my decision making, I'll ask my developers to build only those things into my data warehouse. I don't want to get confused myself. Current up to date. Okay, snapshot of data. In the OLTP system, you will have the only current data. But in the data warehouse, you will have a snapshot data. Like, for example, if I'm having a person with the OLTP data, if I'm having a person with the data warehouse data, I ask both of those guys, okay, can you get me the details of a transaction, whatever has happened in the last 1 second? Who will be faster? The OLTP guy is the faster. Because data warehouse is built for the snapshot, whatever the transactions that happened over a day ago or an hour ago, depends on your business. But OLTP, current data, whatever is happening right away in your business, it can provide. But the problem with that is, if I want to integrate that data, whatever has happened 2 years back, then I cannot do it. But if you can wait for 1 day and if you want to get that result, yes, you can get it from the data warehouse. So normally, what happens in the organizations is like people work in like 24/7, right? People work in offshore, people work in onshore. So why this model is very important because all the data warehouse jobs normally runs after completion of the business hours. For example, your Walmart is running, maybe some Walmart's 24/7, but like some of them are working until 12 or 11.
Yeah.
After that 11 only, the data will be loaded into data warehouse. Whatever is happened from the morning, it will load into data warehouse in the night time when the business is not running. So ultimately, there is a delay of some time, like 1 day or like 8 hours or 12 hours, depends on business.
Okay.
But OLTP, immediate. So on the OLTP, it's a repetitive access. So, but coming to the warehouse ad hoc. So what is the difference? Repetitive means, so basically whoever working in a OLTP, they need that access repetitively. But in the coming to the warehouse, only the managers. So on required. Okay, because like whenever it's required, they need that access. Or else it's a waste of efforts, right? But in the OLTP, yes, because it's kind of a thing which is running your business. So you will access more number of times on OLTP. But warehouse, only to take a decisions, you will access the data warehouse, or to perform a data analysis, then only you will access the data warehouse. But OLTP, if I am purchasing a TV and next to me someone purchasing like a deodorant, or next to me someone purchasing a other material, it has to be accessed like frequently. But data warehouse, no, it's not like that. It's only the thing which is required when you want to take a decision. So most of the people who exactly use this OLTP, clerical users. So if you go to bank, all the people who are sitting in the branches, they will use the OLTP. Even the Walmart, who are doing that, I don't know, nowadays, like even people are not even using that. People are scanning the things, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Sam's, like you will scan your own thing, your own item. There is no clerical activity. But still, that is, OLTP systems are used for the clerical purpose, but warehouse, managerial purpose. Okay? Only the person who want to take a decision, only he can use that data warehouse. So what are the other differences? Like, it's a performance sensitive, it's performance relaxed. So if I perform like more extractions, if I am reading the OLTP more number of times, obviously it's a performance issue. Because if something happens to my OLTP, then my systems will go down. Sometimes, I don't know, whether maybe mostly like you won't observe in Walmart, but sometimes if you go to Indian stores, sometimes you will see this. System is not working or something, or servers are busy or something. Why? Because they cannot hold. If you don't pay, I cannot say like that, don't pay, but the thing is, if you don't maintain your servers properly, okay, if more number of requests are coming on your OLTP servers, they will crash. They are very sensitive because the capacity of those servers are very limited. If you don't maintain, okay, then properly, then they are going to crash. So, but in the data warehouse, no, because those servers are like a pretty big. There is no concept of crashing on data warehouse side. Okay. And the next thing, few records accessed at a time. So you cannot access millions of records at a time. But in the data warehouse, you have to access millions and billions of records because it's a historical data. Maybe like whenever I'm writing like a select star, the table might have like a billion record in that. But in the OLTP, it's kind of maybe like a 1 month worth of the data or like 1 year worth of the data. So at max, you can get like a 10 records at a time. Okay. And even that is like insist to access only few records at a time, because if you put more load, that will crash. So the OLTP system, you can perform read or you can perform the update. But in the data warehouse, 99% only updates. Sorry, 99% only read. Okay. But he mentioned the bracket batch update. When this will happen, for example, my State Farm company name, okay, State Farm company name is changed. Instead of State Farm, they put like a country farm or something. So in that scenario, I have to change on the records from the day it is happened. For example, on June 23rd it happened, but still on the June 23rd, the data is loaded with the State Farm in the morning time. the decision came in the evening, but even I want to reflect that change on June 23rd from the morning, then what I need to do? I have to update it, right? Such kind of a things, maybe you can do it. Or sometimes data wrongly populated. Instead of sending the XYZ, I might have sent like ABC. Even in those scenarios also, we might need to do a batch update. Okay, but make sure that there should be a reason to perform that update. If it is a transactional update, you cannot do it. Like a customer is moving from television to projector, I cannot update it. I need to create a new record because it's a transaction.
Okay.
But if for example, today customer bought TV, but somehow I entered the data, the person who is entering the data on the main OLTP system, he entered the data wrongly. After one day or like 2 days, he realized, okay, whatever the card information he provided is wrong. Then the next day, okay, that record, whatever the record, if it is coming as an update, then you can update those records. So it depends on your business, like what kind of information you want to update, what kind of information you want to create as a new record. Everything depends. Okay, but data warehouse, whatever the transaction is happening, that's stored as a record. Whatever the updates are happening on a given transaction, on the same transaction can be updated. Just make note of this thing. Is it clear, Jaya?
Can you repeat one more time?
Whatever the transaction is happening, okay, if it's a new transaction, you're supposed to save it as create as a new record.
Okay.
If the same record, there is a transaction was happened, for the same transaction there is an update was happened,
okay,
then you're supposed to update it.
Okay.
Okay, so database size, no data redundancy, redundancy presence. So basically in the OLTP systems, how can I define the redundancy? For the same customer, okay, for example, the employee, let's take an employee, he moved from, I gave an example, right, California to Denver, or like Dallas, from Dallas to Georgia. So in the OLTP, I'll have only Georgia information. I don't have the same customer, California or like Denver. All this information I will not have in OLTP, but in the data warehouse, yes, I will have each and every information. That's called redundancy. And the database sizes are limited in OLTP. Okay, that they can be like 100 MB to 100 GB, but in the data warehouse, it's huge. Okay, so transaction throughput is a performance metric. Basically, throughput means how many number of the records per minute, how many number of the records per second you're processing. Okay, that is called a throughput. So that throughput is a performance metric. Metric means what? If you're having like how you can define a metric? Let's say when we go to the school, right? We used to get like I got like 80% of marks in mathematics. What does it mean? It's a metric. Okay, I got like a 66 percentile. That is a metric. The same way, what is a metric in data side? In OLTP, throughput is a metric. Means how many number of the records you're processing per second is a metric. Is the point is clear? Like a kilometers or miles is a metric, right? To measure the distance. Okay. The same way, throughput is a metric.
Okay.
So query throughput is a performance metric. Basically, transaction throughput is the performance metric, and here is a query throughput. So transaction query, what is the difference? Transaction means the record or the action, whatever is performed on the given day. That is a transaction. But here, query throughput, how many records you are getting out of a query is a throughput. That throughput is a performance metric. In the OLTP, whenever he's scanning a record, like your item, okay, in Walmart, that is a throughput. Okay, for example, that scanning machine is taking like 1 second to get that information into your database.
Yeah.
That is called a throughput. How many seconds it took to perform that operation. But coming to data warehouse, how many seconds your query took to get the results? Sometimes you don't believe, there are queries that may take like 30 minutes or 20 minutes or even 1 hour to get the data. So how many records you processed in that 3600 seconds, the throughput? How many seconds your application took to capture the data from that scanning machine is a OLTP metric. On OLTP, thousands of users. If I go to Walmart, within the Walmart store itself, one Walmart store itself, I can find like a 20 to 30 people who are scanning this. Okay, like that, there will be more users on OLTP compared to the data warehouse. OLTP is managed entirely. Entirety means whenever I'm talking about the OLTP, whatever that store, that whole thing is maintained by one specific application, right? One OLTP database. If I go to Chicago Walmart, there can be another database. But data warehouse, it is managed by subsets. It doesn't matter is it Chicago or Dallas or whatever it is. It's only a matter of subject areas, like for all electronic items or all the stores, one person will manage that, or one data warehouse will be assigned to that. But coming to OLTP, maybe it's like the whole entity or like a whole store. You might have like a OLTP system. Overall, like, so what you have to remember from OLTP to data warehouse, like by putting all these points aside, ultimately you need to understand OLTP is an online transaction process system, okay, which can hold only less amount of the data, and it is not used for the query and analysis. It is only to store the day-to-day transactions. Data warehouse to store decision-making analysis-oriented data, and it's huge. That is a major difference. Okay. And rest of everything maybe is related to the same concept, but putting in a different kind of a perspective. Okay, maybe he already summarized. So OLTP systems are used to run a business, data warehouse to optimize it.
Okay.
So tomorrow we are going to see the architecture and how exactly the data warehouse is working inside. So till now we are just talking over the concepts. Data warehouse is doing this, or data OLTP is doing this, or data warehouse is doing in so and so way. But like how exactly happening within the data warehouse, that is what we are going to see as part of the data warehouse architecture.
Okay.
Any questions, Jaya?
I think I'm fine with this now. So I'll just summarize what you said today. So OLTP is just to store the day-to-day transactions, right?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever business we are running in a small section, so you're storing transactions of a business in a day-to-day, right?
Yes.
So when it comes to data warehouse, so you can store the information for a long time, the transactions or something. You can store for long years or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Whenever just remember this thing. Data warehouse, whenever that word comes, you need to get decision making analysis into your brain.
Yeah, decision.
Okay. That is what the major thing which differentiates the data warehouse compared to the other database systems.
Okay, so when you go to Walmart, so you buy some stuff over there. So you pay by you buy some stuff and you pay over there. So that's your transaction, right?
Yes, that's right.
So all these transactions are stored in this database, right? So for all these transactions you use database, or all these transactions are stored in a database?
Can you come again? I didn't understand your question.
So if I go to a Walmart, I buy some stuff over there. So I pay over there. So that's my transaction, right? So
yes, that activity is called a transaction. Okay?
Yeah,
from your perspective. So from your perspective, you just bought something, or sorry, you just brought something to the person. The person scanned it. When he scanned, some information went into his application, and that application mentioned so and so price. Then you paid with your credit card. That is what the whole transaction in your perspective.
Yeah.
But data perspective, customer so and so Jaya, customer, and so and so date, so and so product, so and so amount, so and so tax. This is what data perspective as a transaction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all this information stores in a database, or the particular transaction means only means. I'm
That's what.
asking that means, do we run the queries to for this transaction, or the transaction just stores in the database?
Okay. When you are calling it as a transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So transaction means what? Your customer name,
Yeah.
okay, your name,
Mm-hmm.
and your product name, your product ID, the product cost, date.
Yeah.
Everything will store as a record.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I want to know who bought this sort of product ID, okay, then I'll write select star from this OLTP table where product ID is equal to 1234.
Okay.
Then it will give the information.
Mm-hmm.
Jaya, so and so time, she used so and so card, okay, and this is what the product she bought, and this is what the time, this is what the tax, everything it will store. When you are scanning that product itself, the product information will go. When you are putting your credit card information will go. So each and every activity is pushing some data into the database.
Okay.
Your credit card is pushing your personal information and your card, your banking information. That product is pushing that product information. Okay. Ultimately, the system time is pushing the time of the transaction. So each object, whatever is present over there, is performing different kind of actions, and all these actions are resulting as a record into your database.
Okay.
Maybe you are calling the whole thing as a transaction, but you might see like a 10 records or 10 different columns.
Okay. Got it.
But when the same thing goes into a data warehouse, you won't even see your record in data warehouse. Okay. What you will see in data warehouse, you will see what is the total income generated from this store. Maybe I'm just giving an example. Okay. What is the total income generated from this store? Then they will accumulate all the information, whoever bought the televisions on the day. It's not like a person by person. It's based on the department number. Right? Electronics all comes under one department. So there can be like 100 million people might bought the things. They do, if they don't want to maintain millions customers information, they don't maintain it. Maybe they will maintain it as a separate data warehouse. There they will find like, okay, if you buy a Walmart gift card, okay, or like credit card, sorry, not a gift card. So then they will have the credit card data warehouse. In that credit card data warehouse, then they can find out your record, but not in the sales.
Okay, that every section has a different database.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Okay. But if they want to get your information also, they can get your information by using that integration methodology.
Okay.
Even though your information is stored in customer data warehouse and products information stored in a product database and date information is stored in a time database, everything they can integrate.
Okay.
That's the reason they built it as an integrated, subject-oriented, time-oriented, and non-volatile.
Okay. Oh, they can integrate only in the data warehouse, or they can do it in the data online, only in the database.
Basically, the data warehouse. The data warehouse only they can do it, not in the OLTPs. Maybe I cannot say they cannot do it, but if they are doing it, then what is the purpose of data warehouse?
Okay.
And moreover, they don't want to put any risk on day-to-day business, right? They don't want to give any load to OLTP.
Okay.
Those are only meant to get your information. That's it. Whatever the transaction is happening, whatever the information you are pushing, it should be capable of taking that information. That's it. Not for any querying, not for any integration.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay, Jaya. So that's all for today, Jaya. So tomorrow also we'll meet.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you said that my class will be recorded in this Vlearn Guru, right?
Oh yeah. Right now, it won't be stored in Vlearn Guru, but because I need to talk to my developer